If you pay close attention to how American products are made today, you'll notice a shift that feels almost like watching a pendulum swing back in time. For decades, Made in America labels faded as companies chased cheaper overseas suppliers. But now that pendulum is swinging home again. Fast. In factories, warehouses, corporate boardrooms, and sourcing departments across the U.S., brands are rebuilding domestic supplier networks. Not quietly, not slowly, but urgently. And 2026 is shaping up to be the year this shift becomes impossible to ignore. So why are companies suddenly deciding that local suppliers are worth the investment again? What changed? And why is this trend exploding right now? It begins with supply chain trauma. The last few years exposed just how fragile global supply chains can be. Ports backed up, cargo got stuck overseas, shipping rates skyrocketed, and delivery timelines collapsed. Companies watched products sit in containers for weeks, sometimes months. They realized the risk of depending on suppliers thousands of miles away was no longer worth the savings. Domestic suppliers offer something global networks can't: shorter, safer, more predictable routes. The second big reason is speed. In a world where customers expect faster delivery than ever, local suppliers cut weeks out of production timelines. Brands can restock shelves faster, adapt to trends sooner, and avoid losing sales due to long lead times. A part that once took 45 days to arrive from overseas can now show up in 5 days from a U.S. supplier. Speed is no longer a luxury. It's a competitive necessity. Another powerful driver is cost uncertainty overseas. Wages are rising in key manufacturing countries. Shipping is more expensive. Raw material prices fluctuate more dramatically. Tariffs remain unpredictable. Currency swings add financial risk. For many brands, domestic suppliers offer something valuable: stability. Even if the base cost is slightly higher, the overall expense becomes more manageable and predictable. The next major force is consumer preference. Shoppers today care more about product origin, supply chain transparency, and ethical sourcing. Locally made products have more trust built into them. Consumers want to support local businesses, reduce environmental impact, and buy products that feel more authentic. Brands are realizing that domestic supply chains create a marketing advantage they can't get overseas. Let's talk about quality control, because this is a huge factor. When suppliers are local, brands can visit facilities, inspect materials, test batches, and fix problems quickly. Overseas suppliers make oversight difficult. Time zone gaps slow communication. Shipping delays hide issues until it's too late. Domestic suppliers give companies hands-on control, reducing defects, returns, and waste. Another reason domestic networks are growing again is the rise of advanced U.S. manufacturing. Automation, robotics, AI-driven production lines, and 3D printing have made American suppliers far more competitive. Factories can now produce high-quality parts with fewer workers and higher consistency. Technology fills the gap that used to make U.S. manufacturing too expensive. Next, consider geopolitical risk. Global tensions and trade uncertainty have pushed companies to rethink their dependencies on foreign suppliers. Brands want to avoid sudden trade restrictions, export limits, or diplomatic disruptions that could halt production overnight. Building domestic networks reduces exposure to international instability. Another driver is inventory efficiency. Domestic suppliers allow companies to order smaller quantities more frequently instead of placing massive bulk orders months in advance. This reduces storage costs, lowers the risk of excess inventory, and helps companies avoid tying up cash in large stockpiles. Brands want leaner operations, and local suppliers make that possible. Let's talk about regulatory compliance, because this matters too. U.S. regulations around product safety, materials, labor, and environmental standards keep evolving. Domestic suppliers understand these rules better and adapt faster. Overseas suppliers often lag, creating compliance risks that can lead to fines, product recalls, or damaged reputation. Another major reason brands are rebuilding domestic networks is the push for resilience. Companies realize they need redundancy. Multiple suppliers, multiple locations, multiple backup options. A domestic network gives them that redundancy. If one supplier faces a disruption, another nearby can take over. Resilience is the new strategy. Efficiency alone is no longer enough. Next, consider the growth of on-demand manufacturing. With shorter lead times, companies can produce closer to demand, reducing overproduction. Domestic suppliers support flexible, responsive production cycles, something global networks struggle with. Another key driver is sustainability pressure. Shipping products internationally creates massive carbon emissions. Domestic sourcing dramatically cuts transportation impact. Brands want to meet sustainability goals, and local suppliers help them get there without greenwashing. Let's also talk about job support and local economics. Brands see reputational and political benefits in supporting American factories, workers, and communities. Local manufacturing strengthens regional economies and aligns with public sentiment favoring domestic investment. It's not just business, it's branding, politics, and community impact rolled into one. Another major reason companies are shifting back is innovation access. Many U.S. suppliers specialize in niche technologies, advanced materials, or rapid prototyping. Closer collaboration drives faster innovation. Brands and suppliers working side by side can develop new products and solve problems much quicker. Now, consider something most people don't see: insurance and risk costs. Companies with domestic supply chains often pay lower insurance premiums because their risk of disruption is lower. Fewer shipping risks, fewer transit issues, fewer unpredictable delays. It all translates to savings. One more factor is retail expectations. Big retailers want reliable, short lead time products. They pressure brands to deliver fast, replenish quickly, and adapt to sales trends in real time. Domestic suppliers give brands the agility to meet retailer demands and stay on shelves. Finally, the biggest long-term reason behind this movement: the future of business is about control. Control over quality, control over timelines, control over logistics, control over risk, control over cost volatility, control over production agility. Domestic supplier networks give brands the control they lost during decades of globalization. And now, in 2026, companies are rebuilding that control piece by piece, restoring local production links, strengthening regional networks, and strategically reshoring supply chains to support the next era of American business. This isn't nostalgia. It's strategy, it's resilience, it's modern economics, and it's redefining what it means to build, source, and manufacture in the United States.